The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Wednesday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, Sirius XM Channel 158. It's Gil Alexander. It's Kelly Bidlin. It's a numbers game live from Circa. What's happening?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Good. That was very sincere of you. You still losing weight before our eyes?
I hope so.
How often do you get on a scale?
You know, you and I have had this conversation before. I usually try to do. I do like once a week, once every 10 days, something like that.
Got to do it every day.
I want to see the results. I want to see it, Gil.
I'm a big everyday guy.
Yeah, you are. You told me that's smart.
You will learn what foods and at what time of day eating causes weight spike. Todd Wishnev.
Hey, it makes a lot of sense. I get it.
Yeah.
I also just forget though. I wouldn't.
I could tell by the way you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. On the show today, Jim Root, James Patrick Root from Three Man Weave, talk college hoops with us, conference tournaments, what he thinks about games today, including, of course, Alabama and Florida. The de facto game for a number one seed, perhaps. Tennis and golf bets, you know what that means. Country clubbing. We got to do that as well.
That's right.
I'll do tennis, then we'll do a lot of golf a little later. Byron Lindeque will join us as well. Talk Arnold Palmer. You've got bets too, right?
I got bets. Yeah, Byron's got bets. I like it. Everybody, big event. You got Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele's back, Rory. Looking forward to it.
JVT will join us. Jonathan Von Tobel talk NBA as the Warriors win again. They've lost once since Butler has been in the lineup. Twice since he's been acquired, but only once with him in the lineup. Warriors go on the road, beat the Knicks last night. Steph played, Cat did not. We'll get JVT's thoughts on that and beyond, of course, with the Lakers as the number 2 seed now in the West and the Warriors the 6th seed.
It's crazy.
Dub show. Let's go. And, of course, we'll do other things as well. Whatever leaps to mind. I want to start with tennis, though, because Indian Wells begins today. Tennis is de facto 5th major. And, by the way, if you want to deep dive into it, no pun intended, Drew Dinsick is the guest, along with Zach Cohen, our buddy Zach. So Drew and Zach and the Beating the Book podcast, Indian Wells, we did, I don't know how long it is, but it's over an hour. If you want to dive in here before the tournament starts, it's not only outrights, it's our quarterly bets. Zach and Drew, I'll let you go to the podcast for them. I will give you mine. I will give you all that I bet in terms of the outrights. I gave one yesterday. And this begins at around, 11 a.m. today Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern is when this begins. So we still got some time here, but the only outright I bet, hey, what a surprise. I bet Iga Swiatek at 4-1 to win the ladies' side. By the way, let me just say this. I have no bets on the men's side outrights. None. My numbers, so I have the data for everybody, right? I run the numbers on everything, and just on the men's side, Zach and Drew have them, and I get their plays, but it wasn't enough for me to make bets. But on the ladies' side, Iga to win it at 4-1. Her quarter is not easy. It's not terrible either, but it's not easy. She's won 2 out of the last 3 of these tournaments. The BNP Paribas Open. Belinda Bencic to win quarter number 2. I mentioned this yesterday at 6-1. For those of you in Canada, got a couple Canadian listeners this morning who were listening on Game Plus who were telling I can't speak, who were saying that Bet365 had Belinda Bencic to win Q2 at 9-1.
Whoa!
Here stateside, DK still has her at 5-1. I'd play that. I would not play the MGM price now at plus 350. I went ahead and these are all based on numbers. So if I look at my raw women's hard court numbers, I have Iga number 1, Belinda Bencic number 2, Sabalenka, the world number 1, 3rd, Osaka 4th, Pegula 5th, then Andreeva and Rybakina. So not only do I have Belinda Bencic at Q2, but Zach does this thing where he decides to take 2 players. He had 2 in Q2. I think he took Navarro too. I did not. But I'm with him on Pegula and Osaka in Q3. I bet these at MGM yesterday. Osaka to win Q3 at 9-1. Pegula to win quarter number 3 at plus 550 as well, hoping that those two meet in the quarter number 3 in the third quarter final there. So I just thought both of those prices were outstanding, again, based on the numbers I just mentioned, how high I have both of them ranked in the raw tennis data. And then Iga to win Q4 at minus 105, which I thought was a great price. So those are the outrights I have pre-flop here in this tournament. I didn't do anything on the men's side. Just it was too cluttered Like Q3 was too cluttered to make a bet, and I just didn't feel like there was an opportunity there.
Which isn't completely odd for you, right?
No,
I mean,
not
you
completely
usually
odd.
lead into the women's side a little bit more.
You are a believer that I always lean into the women's side.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't mean I think you're spending that much more time handicapping the women's side, but if the results show value on that versus the men's, then bets are placed where they're placed.
I think you know this from golf.
Right, exactly. I think I'll be tailing you on a couple. The one that jumped out to me when you said it in was definitely that Iga quarter price. Yep. Minus 105. I mean, it's
not easy. She's got Noskova in there. She's got Muhova. She's got Jabeur. But, this is a service. By the way, that's the other thing that Zach was great about. I don't know if Badosa's playing or not. Her bag is
really?
Yeah. She's listed as playing, but we'll see what happens because she had to pull out the last tournament. Zach did a great job on the podcast yesterday. Our own Zach Cohen betting on X, part of the glue that holds this whole operation together. All of his work at VSiN.com. Zach was talking about he had man on the scene in the qualies. That the surface change isn't as big of a deal as we might make it out to be. So the ball might bounce a little less in terms of height, but it's kind of just as slow, if not perfectly as slow. So that's good news for those of us who bet tennis, those of us who watch tennis. The bottom line is Indian Wells must have gotten a grip to change this surface from these people, from this Lakehold people.
Lakehold. Oh man, what was the company again? I'll have to pull back up in case you're looking to invest. But so will you be doing the same thing that I was doing last Thursday then today and be eagerly awaiting post-match quotes from people about how it played?
Yeah, but we've already gotten some of those, and they're all saying the same thing. They're all like, yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Okay.
They don't notice the difference. Today is the only day there might be weather, but I do have 4 plays today. And again, for subscribers get these at VSiN.com/picks. I'm going to go ahead and give all the ones that I have today here for you. It is 2 on the ladies' side, 2 on the men's side. The first one, Renata Zarazua against Elisabetta Cocciaretto.
Well done.
Thanks. This is just really a fade of Cocciaretto, who's not been playing well. Plus 130 is too high, too long of a shot on Zarazua. I'm not a huge Zarazua fan, but that's a good price. Katie Volynets, our old friend, Katie Volynets, plus 123 against Ashlyn Kruger. The tennis hardos are going to be like, wow, you're taking Volynets over Kruger. Kruger, the reason they would say that, by the way, Kruger, back in Abu Dhabi, you remember this tournament in Abu Dhabi a few tournaments ago, Kelly.
Obviously.
She took down Kessler, Kasatkina, Lila Fernandez, Noskova. She had a great tournament all the way to the final, and then Bencic took her out. But since then, she's lost to Kenin in Doha. She's lost to Ito in the qualies in Dubai. Volynets loves this tournament. She beat Andreeva and Jabeur here last year. I'm taking Katie Volynets, her old girl, plus 123. Famous here on the show for winning as big dogs many times. And then on the men's side, Luca Nardi, plus 139 versus Cam Norrie. This is probably the one I like the most of the bunch. Luca Nardi, you may remember as a lucky loser. You know what a lucky loser is? Lucky loser is when you lose in the qualifiers, but someone pulls out and you still get the main draw. They should probably come up with a better term than lucky loser.
Yeah.
But he beat Djokovic last year here as a lucky loser.
Okay.
Cam Norrie won this tournament in 2021 after the pandemic when they moved the tournament to the fall. But Cam Norrie has not played well. I think he's been knocked out first round 3 out of his last 6 tournaments. Luca Nardi is the play here at plus 139. That's one I love here today. And then finally, Tristan Boyer, even money against Alexander Vukic. Not much to say here other than I think he's just the better all-around player. Even money was a good play. These are all within range of playing, by the way. All of these within range. So none of these prices have gotten out of whack. So Zarazua and Volynets on the ladies' side, Nardi and Boyer on the men's.
I like it.
You like it?
Nardi and Boyer, I feel like those are, you just broke down the whole Nardi history, but those are newer names for me, Gil. Newer names for me.
Yeah, this is the early part of the first round here. None of the big names are playing today except for Osaka, I think is the only big name. And they, this is one of these, it's a pretentious tournament where they want you to know that they're not like a normal tournament, but they're not quite a slam, so it's a week and a half.
I'm gonna guess that you're able to find a little bit more value early in these tournaments too.
It varies.
Okay.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Because if somebody really, like let's take Laszlo Djere, we're coming off the Laszlo Djere outright at plus 330 before the quarterfinals in Santiago. Oftentimes you can get value late in tournaments because you will have a player like that who is not known like the others. He's Serbian. The South American players are known to be great on clay. That's how they grew up, right? So the Cerundalos, we'll get deep in the weeds here before we get to college hoops. The Cerundalos and the Echeverries and the Baezes of the world, right? The Navones of the world. You know these guys.
Oh,
Kelly.
yeah.
They are
all the time.
They're known to be great clay players. So in the tennis market, they play a guy like Jerry. They're like, they'll kill Jerry, and he's always a dog, right? But if you have access to the data, if you're actually running the numbers, Jerry's numbers on a at least on a short-term basis spike massively. And so that's why he was great value. All of these, by the way, based on data. So in each of these cases, that's why it leads me to plays, not just making stuff off the top of your head. There were a couple that I got close to but didn't pull the trigger on. And then do you do that thing where you think about betting something but you don't, and then you actively root against it just so you don't have self-loathing?
Oh, of course, yes.
That is
100%
what I do.
Yes, the last golf outright who's left off the list, I am actively rooting against them the entire tournament.
Yes. So there's a couple matches here today where I'm like, please don't go. Please don't manifest. Yeah.
I mean, I hope Drew and Zach help you with this too, but I love talking to Matt and Wes through golf bets. It is a therapeutic process doing the podcast for me because
fantastic.
Michael Kim I ended up on last week for the Honda, and he got close up the leaderboard and win. But Matt talked me into it. He was one of the guys I was just about to leave off. Matt helped talk me into it. So it's a good process.
I think it's almost on those podcasts. It's almost like, wow, your case is so good. I'm thinking about it very strongly, and then you get off the podcast, and some of them you like, some of you go, oh, okay, I'm not going to go that crazy. It's great. Beating the Book podcast, Indian Wells. Check it out, but don't check it out now because we got college basketball next with Jim Root.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Want to bet smarter? I know you do. Start with Smarter Insights. Right now, you can check out articles like the Ohio Valley Big South Summit Northeast Conference Tournament previews, Greg Peterson's best bets in college basketball, and Wes Reynolds' Arnold Palmer Invitational preview. Later today, you can check out Zach Cohen's best bets in the NBA, Jonathan Davis's NHL best bets, and Steve McKinnon's NBA Analytics Report. To get access to all the articles on VSiN.com right now, you can sign up for as little as $9.99. Just head to VSiN.com/subscribe to sign up today. Skill Alexander, this is Kelly Bidlett. College basketball tournaments not quite in full swing because obviously the big conferences begin next week. But we got double digits worth happening now. Jim Root joins us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at Second Chance Points. That's with the number 2. And of course, he's 1/3. That's the math. He may have a different percentage on this, but 1/3, we'll call it, of the 3-man Weave crew. How you doing, Jim?
I'm good. Yeah, we're just about to hit the big run here of college hoops. I was saying to you guys right before we got on there, we got daytime basketball in the Big South tomorrow.
Yes.
So it really starts to feel like championship week in March.
It is such an awesome time of year. It never fails, right? This is the March Madness itself never disappoints. And so that's why it is a part of Americana. We love it so much. Let me just ask you this right off the top, since we go macro here. How many teams, in your opinion, legitimately can win the national title?
Ooh, boy, that is a good question. Looking down the list, I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of 10-ish. I think there's a really clear top tier with the top 6. The team's all really in contention for 1 seeds right now for the SEC, plus Houston, plus Duke. But I think somebody like Texas Tech could sneak in there. I think maybe Iowa State at peak form, although last night certainly not a good indicator for them. And then, maybe you get somebody that jumps up into that tier. But I think there's been kind of a separation at the top this year, so it's definitely top heavy.
Alabama, Florida tonight. I know you don't have a play on this necessarily, but I want to ask you about it, though. Is this a de facto game for the number 1 seed, do you believe?
It's definitely leg up. There's still, both of them have got a big game on over the weekend, and the SEC tournament could maybe have smaller implications. I don't think the committee puts that much weight in the conference tournaments because they want to have their pencils down, but it's pretty close. It would definitely be the driver's seat, the winner, and would probably be sitting in it for bracket projections for now. But by the way, I do lean I lean Florida in that game. Golden's covered every game against Nate Oates since he arrived at Florida, which I think has some merit to it. Swept him or won 2 out of 3 last year. Just a lot more physical in the paint. They guarded Sears fairly well because they know he really wants to go left. I think Florida is going to be in that game, and I like getting a possession on the spread.
Since I have a future on Alabama, let me just ask about them. That's the only team I have one on. Of the contenders. Got that a long time ago, closer to the end of last season to the beginning of this, because I have some Alabama ties here. But I'm just curious. A round of 64 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, Sweet 16 2 years ago, Final Four last year. I think you understand the math, dividing by 4 every time. That would mean they would win it all here. Do you really believe, right, with that defense and lack thereof is what I'm referring to? Do you really believe when you say there's 10 teams, I'm sure you're including them, do you see that as a legitimate possibility? Could they really run the table? And you're right, they're right in the middle of a gauntlet now, a Tennessee, Florida, Auburn gauntlet before the SEC tournament. What would you prefer? If you're an Alabama backer, would you prefer that they go deep in an SEC tournament? I guess this applies to all teams that are entering the SEC tournament. Do you prefer they go deep? Do you almost wish they go out early? How would you play it?
I'd probably lean towards going out early if I'm a team that's pretty well clinched in terms of seed, like they are. I mean, they're going to be one of the top 6 seeds almost inevitably. So at that point, if there's nothing really to gain on a run through the tournament, somebody else further down the bracket, like say my Missouri Tigers, could really rise up a couple seed lines if they go on a run. But Alabama, yeah, that's a team that I think benefited last year from losing early in the SEC tournament, being a little fresher, kind of getting a reset as they went into the tournament. Now that run last year, I don't know, I wouldn't call it flawless. I think shot quality graded all their games as losses, narrowly, of course, but fortune does matter in March. I think they're better enough defensively that they can win the title this year because the offense is explosive. Sears is looking like first team All-American Mark Sears once again. And they do have, I love Diabate as a role piece. I think Youngblood's going to make an impact in a March game. He's a great shooter. I think they can get there, and they're among that tier. But yeah, I'd put them a little less than the really apex group of Houston, Duke, and Auburn.
This is a terrible question to ask, but if I made you make a bet now on an outright, what's the value? What's the number? What team? Florida plus 950 probably?
Maybe Florida, maybe Texas Tech. I sit here as just a firm believer or maybe a foolish believer in Grant McCaslin's team, but I think the talent level is really high, and they've had some ebbs and flows with some injuries, and he's just a fantastic coach. Beat Purdue with North Texas a couple of years ago. I know they lost in the first round last year at Texas Tech, but they've got guards, they've got big men, they can play big, they can play small. So that would probably be my value play up there. Otherwise, it'd be Houston. I think I saw 8-1 up there.
And we're not worried about Auburn losing last night to A&M.
No. I think they celebrated their outright SEC title Saturday and even into Sunday, and then they got desperate Texas A&M off 4 losses, who's one of the most physical bullies in the sport. Kind of pushed him around a little, hit him in the mouth. I'm not changing my opinion on either of those two teams after that.
All right, I want to ask you about conference tournament outrights here momentarily, but let's get your 3 plays, a 3-pack of plays tonight in college hoops from you.
Yes, so we'll start off with NC State, number 700 on the betting board, plus 2.5. Going to be honest, this is mostly a fade of Pitt. I think Pitt is really circling the drain right now. Some of my recent numbers I look at make NC State favored by 3 or so in this game, just because of how poorly Pitt's been playing. Maybe you get a resurgent Panthers in the ACC tournament where they feel like, hey, this is our reset. We know things went down the drain late in the year, but at this point, it's really hard to trust them. They've been poor again and again down the stretch. Now they go on the road. NC State's at least shown a little life. They beat Wake Forest to kind of submarine the Demon Deacons at-large hopes. I think the Wolfpack can take care of Pitt there because Pitt's just on their last legs.
All right. I love that you give a rotation number. 700 once again on NC State catching the points. 702, sir. You have a total play.
Yes. UMass and St. Bonaventure, the under 702, as you mentioned. UMass was kind of crazy pace to start A10. They were really zipping up and down. Lately, they have played a lot slower. Some of that's their competition. But if it is their competition, that matters here because St. Bonaventure is one of the 20 slowest teams in the country. They want to play in the half court. They've got a really stout interior defense. I think this tempo is going to be really controlled by St. Bonaventure at home in Olean, and they're going to keep this in the half court. Their defense is strong enough, and UMass can't really shoot from the perimeter, so you don't have that risk of a bunch of threes racking up here. So under 139, recent numbers that I use make this much lower. So big lean there, and I'm betting the under UMass and Bonnies.
All right, and the third one, you are laying the wood with Louisville. Is Louisville among the 10 teams that you sort of alluded to before that could win it all, or are they not in that group?
No, they're actually probably in the NCAA tournament team. I'm a little more fading, just really high variance outcomes because of how many threes they take. So against like maybe a more solid, defensively sound underdog, I could see them having trouble. And they haven't played a team with a pulse in like a month and a half in the ACC. That could be a real problem for them, just having to beat up on a bunch of sub 100 teams. This is another sub 100 team, Cal, and it's a spot I really like where you get the West Coast team coming all the way across the country in what I call the jet lag game, west to east. I think Cal's not going to be very sharp in this one. Louisville, even if they're not all over them early, can extend late, kind of get into the legs of Cal. And I kind of lean Notre Dame for the same reason. You got Stanford coming all the way across the country to them, but more confident in Louisville. So that's the one I went with here for one of my 3 picks.
Yeah, cross country. What are you talking about? Cal's in the ACC. What are you
historical rivalry?
Yeah,
that's right.
When Louisville plays Cal, throw the records out the window. What is the, before we go to break, because I'll save your conference tournament plays here for after the break. You are known to have a wide portfolio of futures plays. What is the one you are holding right now that you sort of smile internally the most about?
Yeah, I grinned when you said you just had Alabama because I was like, what's that like? Because I've got just way too many in the portfolio. Favorite one right now is probably Florida 100-1.
Whoa.
Or Auburn 40-1. So those are 2 swings from earlier in the season. I got Auburn right after Janai Broome returned, and Florida was a preseason one where I just kind of liked them. I thought they had some upside, and that's gone even better than I could have imagined. So those 2 are sitting in really. Wait, excuse me. Florida's not 100-1. That's the wager amount.
I was going to say.
The odds are 70 and 60-1.
That's still
I have
great.
2 different bets there.
Yeah. Just rank them real quick. Which are the coaches that will make a difference for you in your selections here? Todd Golden,
Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah,
Kelvin Sampson for sure. Grant McCasland, Texas Tech. Yeah, Golden and Pearl are probably in the tier below that, which is funny because they've worked together. But Sampson and McCasland are my favorite too.
Sampson and McCasland. Did not expect that. All right, more with Jim Root on the other side. Conference tournaments abound. His plays in some of these outrights for these tournaments this week. The ones that are up, it's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Our VSiN baseball betting guide is out. You gots to get it. Adam Burke's finest work. He basically authored the whole thing, except for Jensen's piece in there. Mm-hmm. Jensen Lewis, former MLB pitcher and, of course, co-host of By the Books here at VSiN. He dives into players' perspective on evaluating pitchers. Everything else is Adam. Market analysis for MVP, Cy Young, expert tips how to bet baseball, including a stats glossary to help you break down key analytics. From advanced metrics to sharp betting angles, the VSiN MLB Betting Guide, your ultimate playbook for the season. Avoid strikeouts at the sportsbook. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today for as low as $9.99. Get your copy of the MLB Betting Guide today. Sign up today at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. You got 30 team previews in there, Kelly, all of them. Jensen on handicapping pitchers, stat glossary, baseball betting tips, breakdown of World Series odds, player futures market, including Cy Young and MVP. We got Paul Sporer coming on the show today, don't we?
That's right. Yeah, we do. In a half hour. I got a lot of homework to do for a baseball betting guide still.
Opening day in 12 days in Tokyo. Dodgers and Cubs.
Some NFL news real quick. Gardner Minshew to be released by the Raiders. What was your favorite moment of the Gardner Minshew era in Las Vegas?
That time that he got sacked and fumbled. You remember
I want to say which one, but because I'm sure there were many, but I don't know that.
Vivid in my memory. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Joe C714. Joe's been hanging out at Indian Wells already. He says, Gil, you probably already know this. Maybe you don't, but try to make it out to Indian Wells when qualifying starts. All free games and can see all the open practices. He's been sending pictures. Just glorious. I would, Joe, but I'm doing a show, so I can't.
That's a golf thing, too. Like, if you're Like, go to a practice round instead of like the first round or the second round. Like, you can see these guys be a lot looser. There's not like a billion fans out there for you to fight through. Like, if you actually want to see them, the players.
Indian Wells has a field, a grass field in the middle of all the courts where all the players are working out and like kicking a soccer ball and doing all kinds of. Yeah, you're like looking at it like there's an animal in a zoo. It's outstanding.
I thought you were going to say you could go up and like talk to them or like,
well, you could try,
but you're boxed out. You're boxed out.
I'd be like, hey, Amanda. Michael Harris said, Gil, if you're looking for a new documentary to watch, check out the Octopus Murders on Netflix. It's bananas. I think I've seen the Octopus Murders. Can I say this about a show on HBO though? You all familiar with White Lotus?
Yeah,
White Lotus.
I watched it.
White Lotus seasons 1 and 2, spectacular. If you didn't like those, I don't know what to tell you. Season 3, slow.
This is what you and Brian Ortega said yesterday. I said, Ortega, you let me know then when it starts heating up, because then I'll actually start watching it.
Three episodes. They're still building. I'm like, okay, anytime now.
Okay, I'm glad for the White Lotus update. Did you really just move on from Octopus Murders that quickly, though? Like, what is,
I can't, it's.
Is someone murdering octopi?
No.
Or are they using octopi to murder people?
I saw it a long time ago. I can't remember the details, but it's in California, I think, primarily. It's a whole thing. Anyway.
Got me hooked on that one.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't do a better
review. Got hooked on that one.
It's fantastic, though. Yeet Ninja. Every time I hear Are We Sure segment, I can't help but hear Joe Pesci from My Cousin Vinny yelling at the witness in the court scene. Perhaps a soundbite from the movie could be in play.
Idea. That is a good idea.
Perhaps a soundbite from the movie could be in play in the future. Love the show. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. JC Gabagool, weight spike. Look out. He's predicting a weight spike from you? Is that what's happening? Stringfellow Hawk, yeah. Bet365 has Bencic at 9-1 and Osaka at 16-1 in that quarter, and he's in North Carolina. Joe C. also said Badosa pulled out of the Eisenhower exhibition last night as well, so I don't know what's going on with her. Mark Descartes, Boyer not on the pick page. The other three are. 3 Jack. Gil, Boyer didn't make the site. You should threaten to strike if management isn't going to treat tennis bets equally. I'm telling you, man. It's all rigged against tennis. Jim Root, kind enough to join us here for a second segment. Jimmy, let me just say that. By the way, do people call you Jimmy? James? Jim? What do they call you? James Patrick? What do they call you?
Yeah, Jimmy, James, Jimmer. My nieces call me Uncle Jimmer, so that's always an option.
What do you prefer? What's your favorite of the bunch?
I don't really have a preference. Just not James. That one doesn't sit well with me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What about James Patrick?
James Patrick.
No, that one I love. That one I love. Only said with an Irish accent.
Okay. By the way, let me just say this. I was very surprised that you did not have Golden in your top tier, and I was also surprised that you didn't have Nate Oates in your top tier of coaches.
Yeah, I guess Nate Oates didn't really cover himself in glory in that final minute at Tennessee. Maybe I'm unfairly punishing him for that.
That was brutal. How? By the way, what were the odds on them losing that in regulation? It had to be off the charts at that moment if there was a line. Incredible. Yeah. Well, there wasn't one for regulation, obviously. Okay, let's go to conference tournaments. And I'll throw it out to you first. Well, let me ask you about one, and then you can sort of riff on which ones you want to talk about. But I talked about this yesterday briefly with Will Hill when he was on the Missouri Valley, where Drake is a -110 favorite in this. He threw out a stat though yesterday that I think is obviously huge with them: 5-0 in overtime. If they don't, they lost 4 games all year. If they lose a game here, they might be gone completely. Is there a bet in this tournament besides Drake?
Yeah, I like Bradley. I think Drake plays too slow and methodical. I'm just worried that leaves them prone to upset. And yeah, as you mentioned, they've gone to OT, including against the worst team in the conference. They needed OT twice to beat Missouri State. So as much as I love Drake, and I do hope they get in, if they lose in the title game, I mean, they'd have 30 wins or something like that. They'd be right up there. But I like Bradley. They won at Drake. They're a really veteran team. They're pretty stout on both ends. Got a big-time shot maker, lead guard, and Duke Dean as kind of their veteran guy. And Brian Wardle's won this event a couple times before. I think he's familiar with what it takes. So I think Bradley is my bet there. I'm in Illinois, so technically I can't bet that. Don't tell the authorities. But yeah, I like Bradley.
We won't mention it. Okay. The floor is yours. Pardon me. Sunbelt, Ohio Valley, Big South, Summit, West Coast Conference, Patriot League, Atlantic Sun down to the semis, which resumes tomorrow, Horizon League, Southern Conference, and the Big Sky. Oh, and the Southland. I forgot about the Southland. Anything. Where are we going to go there?
Oh, yeah. I'll start in the horizon. I'll start with a long shot team that I have a future in on already and has been bet down. At one point, Northern Kentucky was 43-1 at FanDuel. They're down to 20 right now, what I'm looking at. But I still like the draw. They've been playing really well over the last month. The second best team in the horizon, 7-1. They have been awesome in this event. They've been in the title game for the last 6 years. They've got veteran guards. Their quarterfinal matchup is Cleveland State, who is reeling down the stretch. They lost 5 of 7 to basically blow the number 1 seed in this tournament. So you factor in this tricky zone that NKU plays, a veteran team, a coach who has been there and done that in this tournament. I think NKU is going to end up being really good value. If they can make it to the semis, it's all on a neutral floor. And then it's just a toss-up. And this tournament's always been kind of mayhem. So Northern Kentucky's one I definitely recommend.
28-1 at DraftKings, by the way.
There we go. That's why we shop around. I love it. I like a couple of favorites in the Big South and the NEC. I actually ended up parlaying Central Connecticut and High Point. I think both those two teams take care of business. That gets you north of even odds or just about. So I like that one. In the Big Sky, I'm a Montana guy there. They lost in overtime during the season's final week last weekend at Portland State. That cost them the number 1 seed. But they've been by far the best team in the league over the last month. Northern Colorado's had some really fortunate shooting splits in that time, which helped them get the 1 seed. I think Montana's going to assert themselves as the best team. They were the team I liked most coming into the season, and I think they end up getting the win there. Somewhere around plus 300 if you shop around is what you're looking at there. Another potential long shot that I actually haven't got in yet, but I will as soon as the segment ends. In the America East, UMass Lowell, a team that was maybe the preseason favorite. It just was snake bitten all the regular season. They lost so many games by 1 point or 2 point or 3 points, and they're rock solid. They've got the talent to compete with anybody in this conference. Bryant, Vermont is kind of a down year. Their best player just got hurt, Shamir Bogue, so I'm not really that interested in Vermont. I think UMass Lowell is going to be a decent underdog play there, somewhere around 20-1. As a team that could make a run. Bryant's the best team, but at the odds, UMass Lowell definitely intrigues me. Let's see, what else? I kind of like Gonzaga in the WCC. Obviously, the price isn't great, but they're already in the semis. They've dominated the two teams that they would likely play in that semifinal, and I think they get it done against St. Mary's. The shooting splits in the first 2 matchups between Gonzaga and the Gales were heavily tilted towards St. Mary's. So I still think Gonzaga ends up getting a win in the rubber match. And I'll close it out in the Summit. Conference is kind of wonky because the number 2 seed St. Thomas can't make the NCAA tournament. So if they win it, the 1 seed Omaha gets the title. But I think Omaha is still decent value. The 1 seed around 5-1, wherever you look, they have been the best team in the conference for a month. And it seems like people are still skeptical of them because of their non-conference performance. That's weighing down their analytics. The big concern is if it's Omaha versus St. Thomas in the title game, how engaged is Omaha? Because they will have already clinched the tourney bid. So that concerns me for sure. But I still like their value if they end up getting South Dakota State instead or a Cinderella. It's the 1 seed that's played the best, and you're getting them 5-1 because of some stuff that happened in November and December. That doesn't worry me.
Real quick before you go back to the WCC for a second, but when you project forward to March Madness, Gonzaga and St. Mary's, where historically among Gonzaga St. Mary's teams do you project these 2 versions?
St. Mary's is probably a top 3 to 5 version of that team. It's Gonzaga. I know they're really high rated in KenPom, but I put them like 8th of Mark Few's teams. They're missing some juice on defense.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on St. Mary's. Looks like a good iteration of them. Jim, thank you. Go make your bets, man. Appreciate it.
Will do. All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
JVT next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Don't forget, it's the biggest betting month of the year. March Championship Week tipping off, with the NBA and NHL playoff races heating up, PGA Tour in full swing, and MLB opening day just around the corner. There's nonstop excitement to wager on. Stay one step ahead with the VSiN Pro subscription, your ultimate betting playbook for the tournament and beyond. For as little as $9.99, new subscribers get full access to expert analysis and best bets from our host and guests, daily emails with exclusive picks and insights, deep dive stats to help you make smarter bets, plus our upcoming March Mania betting guide. your key to winning this tournament season. Guess we're not allowed to use March Madness. Is that correct? March Mania? Don't bet blind, bet smarter. Start your Visa Pro subscription today for just $9.99 at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidlin. Want to talk some golf?
Let's do it, man. Big one this week. Fourth signature event of the year, Gil. Already.
Is it really?
Yeah, four already.
The signature events being the elevated events, as we used to call them.
Yeah.
The Arnold Palmer Invitational. To help us along with that, we bring in our old buddy Byron Lindeque, who, by the way, got to give him his street cred here. 2023 Fantasy Sports Writers Association Golf Writer of the Year, co-host of Back Nine Bets and Fantasy Golf Degenerates on the Mayo Media Network, and of course, one of our favorite Twitter handles at The Model Maniac. Byron joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. How you doing, Byron?
Gentlemen, thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's a lot colder here in the middle of Iowa, but I've got this the Florida shirt rocking and rolling, so we're going to have a good time down in the warmer weather, hopefully.
We were just talking about this off air real quick. We gave Paul Sporer a whole background for those who haven't heard him before. You came over from, people didn't detect already, you from South Africa, your accent, from South Africa to play on a golf scholarship in Iowa?
Correct. Southeast Iowa, William Penn University, the Statesman. So 6 years there, 3.5 degrees, and a wife. Good period of time over there.
And a wife. You picked up a wife along the way. That's
Beautiful
great.
wife.
Were you aware of the weather before coming over?
Everyone said, it gets a little cold in the winter, but as a South African, we just imagine that would be like 30 degrees at nighttime. You go play some golf with a sweater on during the day.
Yeah.
No. And then they also told me that it was pretty flat, which I do agree with, but everywhere they couldn't put a cornfield or a bean field, they put a golf course because golf courses in Iowa are pretty damn hilly. So, yeah, don't believe everyone's words from across the pond.
Before we talk about the Arnold Palmer, I said off air, I go, hey, you don't have any Masters futures, do you? And you're like, well, I don't have Masters, but I do have this. What was that?
I have a Rory McIlroy PGA Championship future, and it's a 11-1 future out there. I'm sure you can shop around and find that number out there somewhere. He has won 4 majors in his career. He's won 4 times at Quail Hollow, where the PGA Championship will be happening this year. So I'm calling this the Holy Pentinity. I don't even know if that's a word, but he's going to win his 5th major and his 5th time at Quail this year. That's my...
All right. And for those who, again, just to recap, what used to be the last major of the year is now the second major of the year after the Masters. So the Masters is in April, the PGA now in May, of course, which will be at Quail Hollow, as Byron just said. Then you get U.S. Open. Wait, did I mess that up? Then you get U.S. Open and then Open Championship. Yeah, right. Used to be that PGA was at the end of the line. All right. Arnold Palmer Invitational, where Scotty Scheffler is your short shot at plus 320 and the aforementioned Rory McIlroy, the only other person in single digits, at plus 750. Let's start with what are the characteristics needed to succeed on this course, sir?
The characteristics off the tee are twofold. You either need to be hyper accurate, as in hitting every single fairway as many times as you can, or just have tons of distance off the tee because the rough around you is ultra thick. Then on the iron front, you're going to need great iron play from 150 yards and out, particularly out the rough, because hitting these fairways is extremely difficult, and hitting out the rough, out of the thick rough here, is important. So you're going to be doing that about half the time. And then, you get the casual Bermuda putting surface here, so you're going to have to be able to make those 5 to 15 footers on these Bermuda greens while hacking it out the thick cabbage around them. So a full complement of skills and some good course history, because this venue's got some nuances for sure.
Okay. In the outrights, did you make any bets?
I've got a Rory McIlroy problem. I think if you come at the king, you best not miss. And Rory is coming at Scotty Scheffler, who is missing a little to the left off the tee at the moment. He missed the ravioli and got his hand a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So he's still kind of recovering from that. He's got a bit, some people have rust. He's got some scab maybe, but I think he doesn't have the A game that he has typically shown up with to start the season. Maybe Rory's A game can take down Scotty's B game. We saw Rory at Pebble Beach absolutely demolish that golf course, and he's had great success around here in the past.
You have it. When you say you have a Rory problem, meaning that you're all about Rory here in both tournaments that we just mentioned. So you did bet Rory at plus 750 here to win the tournament. I miss a dominant. Like, I'd like knowing that Scheffler is dominant.
Yeah,
I feel like the tour just is diminished just a little bit not knowing that. Anything else? If you were going to play anything longer than that, who might be on your radar?
If I were to play someone longer than that, I think Hideki Matsuyama is one of these enigmas. You just never know what you're going to be getting from him. And we saw what he got up to at the Tournament of Champions. He's a Masters champion. He's won 3 times in the last couple months. So at 25-1, I don't think he's a terrible bet. He's played quite nicely around you in the past as well. He's got the skill set needed to succeed at a venue like this. The putter for him has also shown up a lot lately, which has been his big bugaboo. So I think he can absolutely take advantage of that. And at 25-1, I really fancy that one.
Yeah, this is a signature event, an elevated event, if you will, 4th of the year. All the big names, not all the big names, but most of them are there. Okay, you bet this all kinds of different ways as well. Top 5, top 10, top 20, top 30. Tell us how.
Beautiful. So I'll start off with Aldrich Potgieter, who is one of my South African natives. And he is just a demantler of big, difficult golf courses. He is second to Rory McIlroy in driving distance. He played really well at the Nedbank Challenge back in South Africa. He played well at Torrey Pines, which is a similar kind of a golf course, and Mexico, another long venue. Top 5 for Aldrich, 20-1, top 10, 8-1, and a top 20 for a plus 300 over there. I think that's a nice little ladder to have some fun with. He's a very talented youngster. He's 20 years old, and he drives it a country mile. So looking forward to him just really nuking it off the tee and getting his job done in that department. And Rory McIlroy is an avocado. I've called him an avocado a couple times this week already. You never quite know what you're going to get, even though you're holding a ripe avo in your hand. He's finished top 5 every single time he's finished top 10 in the last 12 months. You have to go back to the Open Championship in 2023 when he finished outside the top 5, when he finished inside the top 10 in a single tournament on the PGA Tour. So every time he pops, he pops. So I love that top 5 bet on him at a golf course he's played well at. And then Minwoo Lee, top 30, even money. You will find Minwoo Lee inside the top 30 in 18 of his last 25 starts around the world. So he's only got 1 top 10 during that stretch, but he is just a top 30 connoisseur, and I think he'll find himself inside the top 30 at a golf course that will reward his distance this week.
Byron, you do a great job on Twitter. I always tell people to give you a follow when you, especially breaking down success in the top 10, top 20, top 30 markets that you and I both like to attack. Just wanted to ask you about Schauffele coming back this week and just thoughts on him, because there are prices that are all over the place. I mean, I feel like I've seen him as short as 15, 16-1 and as long as 24, 25-1. How do you think he's going to look this week?
Yeah, so Xander Schauffele is one of the guys that hasn't had great success at a golf course, at this golf course in the past. But just taking a look, Kelly, at his top 10 market, if you take a look at his recent odds, it's all negative, like minus 150, minus 170, minus 200 at times. He's plus 170 out there for a top 10, and he's a perennial top 10er. So if you're looking at Xander Schauffele, maybe he's got a little bit of rust, but still not enough to keep him outside the top 10, maybe enough to keep him from winning. But I love that top 10 market for Xander Schauffele, which has been his most profitable in a big, big way the last couple of years.
But no bet, just to clarify. No bet on him?
No, I'm a very passive aggressive bettor. I don't want to attack someone that's coming off of a injury. I've bet him twice at the Zozo and the Century, top 10 markets at like minus 200, and he hurt me because of the rib. So we didn't know he had a rib injury, and now he's coming back from that. We're not entirely sure how well he's playing, so we'll hang tight on that bet.
I like that, a passive aggressive bettor. Let's recap Byron Lindeque's Arnold Palmer invitational bets. Rory outright plus 850. You can get him at plus 750 right now, but shop around. It could be a better price than that. Top 5, Rory at plus 150, and Aldrich Potgieter at 20-1. Top 10, Potgieter at 8-1. We're going Potgieter or Potgieter? Potgieter.
Although Byron probably be the guy to officially ask.
Well, how do we pronounce that, Byron? What's
You're
the
gonna
official?
have to eat a couple bananas so you can say Potgieter.
Potgieter. There you go. I knew we were both
and then
wrong.
3-1 on the top 20 for me. 3-1.
Yes.
8-1 on the top 20. Is it for
3-1 on the top 20?
3-1 on the top 20. Pardon me. 3-1 on the top 20. 8-1 on the top 10. Top 30, Minwoo Lee, pardon me, at even money. Did you have Potgieter in Mexico when he lost out at the end to the great Brian Campbell?
The great Brian Campbell hurt my heart at the Mexico Open where I had Aldrich, and I also had him at Torrey Pines for the Farmers where he was inside the final group going into that one. So the heartbreak's been there, but he can backdoor top 5.
All right, maybe the third time is the charm here with him. Thank you, Byron. Great seeing you, man.
Thank you, boys.
Byron Lindeque, everybody. You can follow him on Twitter once again at The Model Maniac. Kelly's thoughts on the Arnold Palmer and more. It's next. Numbers Game right here at VSiN.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.